What's going on, guys? So in this video we're talking about a fragrance that I believe is an all-time joy of a fragrance. Though it hasn't been out for as long as the original that it's flankered from, it's so good. I wear it sporadically since I rebought it because I used to just have a travel size. And I finally have a full bottle and I've really been enjoying it. We're talking about Ralph Lauren's Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. So stay tuned. Now moving into this scent, so it's actually my scent of the day. I have a fresh spray on my hand here, so it's a warmer, richer, slightly muskier take on the original. The original's all about that watery cucumber, bright fresh greens, loud because it's an eau de toilette, whereas this, not so loud, definitely lasts a bit longer, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we get to performance. But as far as the scent, it's all about the suede and the marine notes, a little touch of powder from this blue iris note. Some places say it's orris. Parfumo, as you saw on screen, calls it blue iris. Iris, orris, same thing. Orris root is the root of the iris flower. Anyways, same process to make the oil. Though it definitely comes across very woody, there is still the green essence to it, that green feel. The cardamom, basil, patchouli, clary sage combo give this aromatic, slightly spicy green tone to this fragrance. It's not any one particular note that really takes the lead. The basil does stand out a bit more so than, and a little bit of the clary sage, because it doesn't come across as heavy patchouli. The cardamom doesn't jump out at me too heavily, though there's a nice little punch of, some fresh spice in the background in the opening of the fragrance. It doesn't stay for a really long time because the spice kind of transitions more into the basil and you get more of that leafy green feel. Beautiful stuff, very aquatic from the marine notes that's here. It has that sea breeze, oceanic type of feel to it, but the beauty of this fragrance for me personally is the suede note. The suede comes through almost immediately and stays for the entire life of the fragrance. Like I said, it gives off this slightly musky, leathery feel to the fragrance. It's, when I say musky and leathery, I don't mean like a rough type of leather feel. It's still pretty buttery for the most part. It adds a bit of a warmth and a little bit of a backbone and stronger presence to the fragrance. This is definitely much deeper than the Eau de Toilette. Some will argue it smells better than the Eau de Toilette, though I think the original is the king of the mountain. This is just one peg below it, in my opinion, as far as the scent alone. It does smell beautiful. It's much richer because it's an Eau de Parfum concentration, and they added the appropriate notes to make for a richer, warmer, deeper smell that's still very true to the original Polo Blue EDT. Now moving into performance, this is where it enhances one side of the spectrum from the EDT and loses a little bit on the other side of the spectrum. So as far as longevity, this stuff will just stick to my skin for the most part. It falls in the 6 to 7 hour range on my skin, which I only get about 3 to 4 hours from the Eau de Toilette, so it's about double the longevity on my skin. It stays. It's not a it wears a little bit heavier. It's not as light and airy, which contributes to its projection. It does sit a little bit close to the skin. It wears a little bit heavier. It's a little smoother. It's a bit more polished, and the performance goes accordingly with the way the scent profile has been redone because projection's not real heavy. First, I would say about 45 minutes to an hour. It's going to be, arm's reach type of stuff, and then it's sitting quite a bit close to the skin, not a complete skin scent, but much closer to the skin for the rest of the way. This is a much more subdued fragrance, whereas the EDT was more of a loud attention grabber. This is, for lack of a better term, the better work fragrance, office appropriate attire as far as fragrance wardrobe's concerned, because it's not real loud and intense. It's very smooth. It's got a little bit more of an elegance to it while still being an aquatic blue with some green facets to it. It's still true to the original. It still can grab people. My wife loved how I smelled today. We actually had a nice lunch date today, and she asked me, "Ooh, what are you wearing today? You smell really nice." And that was when we got in the car. That is Polo Blue EDP doing its thing. So it was enough to grab her to where she could smell it within a few feet, but it's not anything where it was just overwhelming and, kind of punching her in the nose really strong that she could smell. She just got a light whiff, and then she wanted to come in to smell a little bit more of it to get a stronger hit of the fragrance, basically. So longevity, no slouch, above average in my opinion, 6 to 7 hours on my skin. Projection, average to slightly below average because it does sit a bit closer, which works in its favor. If you want the louder fragrance, there are other options in this line. And then the sillage, more on the mild side. It does linger a little bit better than the EDT, but it's not as long and dense of a trail. Your scent bubble isn't quite as big, though your scent bubble is a little bit more consistent and lasts a bit longer than the EDT. It's still not really strong in its projection and sillage. It's, like I said, average to slightly below average in projection, and then more on the mild side of the sillage, more moderate to mild, honestly. The longevity, though, it's great in my opinion. Final thoughts on Polo Blue Eau de Parfum. This is a great fragrance. This is a great fragrance in my opinion. I really like this one. This is one of the better blue fragrances out there, especially for guys that don't want really loud fragrances, but they want it to stay on their skin for a pretty long time. Because I'm sure there's some people that get 8, 9, 10 hours on their skin. It comes down to skin chemistry. It's not strictly on the fragrance to react the way you want it to react. It all depends on your skin. So for this one, 6 to 8 hours is what you can expect for the most part. Drier skin, probably 4 to 5 hours. More oily skin that reacts well most of the time with fragrance oils, you can probably get 8+ hours out of this fragrance. So the scent on it is the main thing for me. It's pretty hard to argue which is better between this and the EDT. I think the EDT still edges it out slightly as far as attractiveness of smell, but that doesn't seem to be the case as far as my wife's opinion. She definitely likes this one a bit more. I think it's a very, very good fragrance. This is a 7.5 out of 10. I love this stuff. I'll continue to enjoy it. I have a 4.2 ounce bottle, as you saw in the presentation side of things. It's a tester bottle, so it's a white tester box. I could care less. If it saves me 10 or 12 bucks, I'll take the white tester box. As long as I have a cap, I'm good with testers. Capless testers, pet peeve of mine. Can't stand that. Let's help a little bit as much as we can with evaporation over time because I have a lot of fragrances, so they tend to sit on the shelf, and I got to make myself go back to things. But the Polo Blue line is just a joy overall. There's no such thing as a bad fragrance in the line, in my personal opinion, and this one is nothing short of very good. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings on the Eau de Parfum flanker of Ralph Lauren Polo Blue. And until next time, do me a real quick favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. So I do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of you have this or have tried it, and what do you think about it? I know some are going to say, try Gold Blend, try Gold Blend. I have Gold Blend. I'm going to get to it. I'm spending time with them one at a time. I've rebought the entire line. The ones I didn't have, it's first-time buys, like Gold Blend, for example. I did a review on Polo Deep Blue Parfum a few years ago when it came out. I've done a review on Polo Blue Parfum, the newest flanker. I did a review recently on the Eau de Toilette. Now we have this one. Next in line is going to be Gold Blend, and then lastly, I'll do Polo Blue Sport. I do have that one as well. And spoiler alert, they all smell good. Performance varies on them. The right seasons and situations varies on them as well, but this is probably the most versatile one of the bunch, as long as you're not looking for a loud fragrance, but it'll still pull a compliment. Like I said, it lasts on my skin. It's good stuff. And until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on Polo Blue EDP and you give it a spray now, you're probably going to thank me later. Have a good one, guys.